I know that there's like tons of computer science concepts out there to learn, but if I'm going to be completely honest with you, the most underrated and actually like one of the most important skills to have is how to use Git, okay? And no, that does not mean using GitHub Desktop, because that's basically like using training wheels on a bike, okay? It's not biking unless you take the training wheels off. Like, what the heck is that? Dude, even I could ride a bike with training wheels, okay? So that's a pretty low bar. Hello everybody, I'm Karar, and today we're talking about Git, which is basically the most important way to share projects, okay? So if you're interested in doing coding projects and you don't want to be a loner forever, you probably want to learn Git, okay? So I've been interning at a company recently and they use Git a ton, right? But they have very strict guidelines. So basically what I'm going to be teaching you guys today is how to use Git, but the right way. I'll be talking about like what the best practices are, how to set up your environment, all that good stuff. So let us get started, shall we? But before we jump into how to use GitHub, let me first explain what the heck Git is, right? There is a big difference between Git and GitHub. So the reason why I called GitHub Desktop Training Wheels is because you don't have to understand anything what you're doing. You just like click some buttons, it somehow gets onto GitHub, and then you get to save your code. Hooray. But if you want to use Git properly, you have to know what the heck is happening. So basically the concept is you have some code on a website. And that website could be GitHub, it could be Bitbucket, there's like a ton of websites that can store your code. And basically your code on this website is stored in something called a repository. So a repository is just like a big project that clumps up all your code into a single project. Okay, so we know that our code is online, so we get access it from any computer we want. And because it's not confined to one place, we can access it from anywhere, and it's outside of our computers, we call it a remote. And what's the opposite of remote? Local. So what do you guys think local means? That's right, it's basically what the heck is on your computer, right? Now GitHub file editor, while it may be cool, it's not good enough, right? You can't run Python scripts on GitHub, you can't do anything on GitHub, so you want to get the scripts onto your computer to actually do stuff with them. So that's why you want to have a local repository too, right? You want to be able to run stuff, you want to be able to edit the code on your own like computer. You want stuff to be on your computer. So on your local, you also have a repository. On your machine, you have the code so that you can edit it. And basically what Git lets you do is communicate between the two. So if you make a change on your computer, you can push it up to the website. So now you can access that change anywhere you want. If someone else makes a change, they push it to the repository. Now the repository has the change, but you don't have the change. Then you should be able to pull from the repository to get the changes that someone else made. So when you're talking about Git, if there's one thing you keep in your mind, is remember we have a local on our computer, but that is different from what's on the website. So this whole concept is Git. It's basically the program that lets you communicate between your computer and some website. And then GitHub is this website right here. We push our code up to GitHub, we pull our code down from GitHub. Okay, so now we can go to GitHub, and now we can make a repository, right? We want to make somewhere to store our code. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new repository by clicking this button. We have my owner, will make like a git sample, that's the name of our repository, and then our description, an epic git sample. And basically GitHub used to make it so that you had to pay money to get like private repositories, but now we can make private, whatever, I'll make it public so that you guys can see what I did. And then initialize with a readme. Readme is basically nothing more than a text file that tells you about the repository. Hey epic, we got a repository, look at this beautiful repository, we got somewhere to store our code, we got a readme which basically tells us about the code. Basically the readme just shows up down here, and then we put all our code in here. And you might be saying, there's an add file button, why don't you just click that and add the file, and then you guys could code it in GitHub itself, why would you have to bring it onto your computer? And no, I'm not going to do that because that's a sucky idea. You know what else is a sucky idea? Downloading the zip, okay? Do not download the zip because then you can't even communicate between the two. The only reason why you would want to download a zip is if you're downloading someone else's code and you don't want to push it back up to the website, right? You don't want to change what's on the website. But being the cool kid we are, we're talking about how to use this to collaborate with your friends, right? There's no point downloading a zip because then we can't collaborate if we can't change the website. So basically the two other ways to bring it down to our computer is to use HTTPS or SSH. So those are basically just two ways of communicating with GitHub. Now both HTTPS and SSH let you communicate with the website, so honestly there's not really one that's better than the other, but I prefer to use SSH because HTTPS, like setting up your username, email, password, all this stuff is really confusing. Because basically the way it works is your computer saves it for you. You don't get to tell it where to save your password or whatever. So it's kind of hard if you want to have multiple users, whatever. SSH is just more flexible. So I'm going to teach you guys how to use SSH. Because HTTPS you guys probably could figure out on your own. It's not that useful. So use SSH. And basically what we're going to do is we are going to clone the repository onto our computer. So basically if we look at the diagram, all our code is here. There's nothing on our computer right now. So we got to bring this thing onto our computer and make a local repository. So basically what SSH stands for is secure shell. And basically what's happening is our computer is making a secure connection to GitHub. And the way it does that is it uses a key. And this key is encrypted, so it's extremely secure. No, it's like really hard to hack. But in order to make this connection, we gotta first generate the key ourselves. So we gotta follow this tutorial. So the first thing you do is you copy paste this command right there, and you put in your email instead. So basically it's generating RSA key pair, which is basically a way of encrypting our communication with GitHub. And then the default location for the key is fine, so we'll just click enter, and then we don't need a passphrase because it's on my computer. My computer is locked with a passphrase, so it's not necessary. So I'll just click enter, and enter. And we got an RSA key, SHA-256 key, very cool stuff. Basically what SHA-256 is like 256-bit hash of the key. But in order to communicate this key to GitHub, we have to make sure that our SSH agent, which is responsible for talking with GitHub, knows the key, right? So first we gotta check if the agent is running. So we copy this command in here and we put it in our terminal. Very good stuff. We got our thing running. And then we want to add the key that we just generated to our agent, right? So we copy this in and we're good. Okay, so you can see that like just by looking at the key, it was able to determine our identity, and now we're able to communicate with GitHub, and GitHub knows it's us. Okay, now we gotta add the SSH key to our GitHub account. So our computer knows our SSH key, now we need GitHub to know it. So we wanna copy it to our clipboard, we just copy this, and now it's in our clipboard. We could put it in, we go here, we click add a new public key, there we go, and we could call it Carrara's desktop or something. Okay, nice. Now that we have this communication between GitHub and our computer, we can now clone the repository. So we just click this down arrow, we go to SSH, we copy this link. We first go into the directory we want to put this local repository on, right? Because it has to be stored somewhere, we have to tell it where we want to store it just by going to that directory. And now that we're in test project, as desired, we gotta do git clone. And basically what git clone does is it pulls whatever's at that link and puts it on our computer. So we'll paste in the link, and easy peasy lemon squeezy, we got all the code on our computer. So first off, let us see what we have on our computer now. So if I open it in Finder so it's easier to see, look, a git sample folder was created, and if we go into it, we got the readme. So basically everything that was on the website got converted onto our computer. Another cool thing about SSH is that now that GitHub knows that it's us, no matter what we do from this computer, we will always be able to do it without having to re-enter our password or anything like that. Alright, so now that we've created our repository on our computer, let us go into it in our terminal, and ls, and we only got a readme, right? So why don't we make something cool, vim example.py, and then we'll add print, this is a cool Python script, alright, Python example.py, epic, we got a working script. But if we go on the website, and we refresh, god dang it, it's not there, this is so sad, what am I gonna do? Well, basically, Git does not send anything from your computer to the website unless you specifically tell it to. It's kind of lame that way. So how the heck do we tell it to send stuff to the website? So first, why don't we just look at our terminal and try something called git status. That basically says what situation we are in. It basically says that we have our branch is up to date, but we have an untracked file that we added, right? Like, this file is here, but we haven't told Git to track it yet. So if we go back to our diagram, this is like a really simplified representation. There are a couple steps in between them. So now we made a change in our local repository, right? And we want to send this to the website. However, we had to first tell GitHub that we want to send this change, right? Like, why don't we made a change in like some random file that happened to be in there, but we didn't want to send that change over. It was only a temporary change to like test something or something. So in order to tell GitHub to send it, we first had to put it in something called the staging area. So the staging area is basically everything that we want GitHub to send to the website, basically. Or basically any change that we want Git to keep track of, we put in the staging area. Now technically you could do like one file at a time, and that's useful if you don't want to put everything in, but for most applications you want to add everything you change. So basically to do that you just do git add-a, git status, and you can see now it's saying that these changes are ready to be committed. So we basically moved this change into the staging area. Alright, epic. So now we gotta send this change to the website. However, the way Git works is it works in commits, and commits are basically saves. So right now we made the change, we've said we're ready to send it over, but we haven't yet told Git to like save our exact state, right? At some point we want to tell GitHub, save it so that I could come back to it later. But it also requires you to save it before you can send it off to the website. So what we're gonna do to do the saving is commit it. So essentially if our starting point was here, we added a bunch of stuff, and now we want to save it, right? So we would type git commit, it'll make a point here, and if we add more changes here, we can easily come back to this position again. This is like a checkpoint in Mario or something, I don't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to git commit, and good practice says that we have to include a descriptive message with this, right? Because we don't want to be like, which version was it that I wanted to go back to? Was it like ABCD or DEF, GH, I don't know. You want to put something that's actually meaningful, right? Like, oh, I made this change. So when I come back, it's like, oh, I made that change, so that's where I want to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to do -m added example.py. Alright, Now we made a save, and now the last thing we gotta do is we gotta push this up to the website. So that's pretty self-explanatory. All you gotta do is you gotta do git push. Alright, hot stuff. So, as we said before, if we have our changes over here, we made a save right here, and we sent this over to the website. So now, if we look at the website, it probably should be there, right? So let us check it out. Refresh, good stuff, we got our example.py, this is epic! Alrighty, that's basically all I wanted to talk about in this tutorial. Stay tuned for the next one where I'll talk about branches and pull requests. But other than that, if you guys found it helpful, let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more. But other than that, thank you guys for watching again, and see you guys next time.